Hello, this is Jeff Gaudiosi, and it's another edition of the Blues Fix on MisplacedStraws.com. And my guest today is widely considered to be one of the best blues guitarists on the scene. We spoke a few years back when he released his album Ride, and now he's getting ready to release a powerful new record called Broken on March 1st. Please welcome back Walter Trout. Welcome, Walter.
It's great to be here with you once again there, Jeff. Yeah.
You know, I mentioned your record Ride back in 2022, and you have been extremely prolific in your career. You've released a record almost every year or two for over 35 years. What is it about music that still drives you to not only write and record, but to do it at such a high level?
It's a hard question to answer other than to just say I'm going to be 73 here in a couple of weeks, but I'm still driven to create, and it's something I just love, and it makes me feel young, and I just want to keep creating, and I don't want to stop. I want to keep doing this till I can't do it anymore, and I feel like I still, even at this point of life, I still have something to say. Do you know what I mean by that?
Oh, definitely. And you hear that on the new record.
I'm glad. I'm glad you hear it on there, you know.
Well, and, you know, the new record, it's called Broken. And we have to talk about the title track because you work with probably my favorite artist in the entire world, Beth Hart. Now, how did your collaboration with Beth come about, and what was it like working with her?
Well, she's a friend, and we've done shows together, and we've hung out, and, you know, we know each other quite well. As a matter of fact, her husband, Scott, I've known him for going on 40 years. I used to have the house band at a bar in Huntington Beach, and he was the bartender 40 years ago.
Oh, wow.
So we go back really a long way, you know, and, you know, I wrote the song with my wife. My wife is also an award-winning songwriter, and we wrote that one together, and I immediately thought about Beth because she and I are both in recovery, and we've both been through a lot in our lives, and I sent her the tune, and she called me immediately and said, yeah, I really want to sing this with you. So she came in the studio and sang it. She elevated that song. She took it to a whole other level. And then we had a great day in the studio hanging out. Robbie Krieger, who's the guitarist from The Doors, he came in, spent the afternoon with us, and we kind of sat around, and we had food, and we just socialized and took pictures, and we had a really great day. But she came in and just sang it with all of her heart and soul. You can hear it on there. She's really feeling it, you know.
She's amazing, and the two of you together on that song is just magical because it's such a fitting song for both of you. As you said, with the struggles that you've both faced in life, this song is just perfect for both of you.
Well, I thought that too. When my wife and I wrote the tune, that was the first person I thought of. I said, I need to do this as a duet, and I can only think of one person that this song is right for. And I was really glad that she responded the way she did, because as soon as she listened to the song, she called me right up, said, yeah, I'm in, let's do it. And one of the things that blew my mind, I didn't expect her to come in and sing harmony with me. And you don't hear her very often singing harmony with anybody. And that really added something to that tune, I think, you know.
It's funny because a less obvious guest on the record is Twisted Sister frontman Dee Snider. How did you end up doing a song with Dee?
Well, he about a year or two ago, he went on Twitter and he wrote this thing, "Who is this guitar player?" And he put a cut of me on there. Okay, so he put this thing up on Twitter where he put up a cut of me playing. It was a live recording, and he wrote, "Who is this guy? How come I never heard of this guy?" And so I just went on his page and I said, "Well, that's me, and thank you very much." And he sent me a message, "Send me your cell phone number." And I sent him the cell phone number, and he called it, and we've become great friends. And we've hung out, and he's an amazing guy. He's brilliant, incredibly intelligent and well-read and well-spoken. And we just became buddies. And then he happened to say, "When are you making your next record?" And I said, "Well, like in a couple of weeks." And he said, "Well, let me sing something with you." And I thought to myself, I've got to write something for him. And then I thought about his major hit of "We're Not Gonna Take It." And I thought about the theme of the album, "Broken." Well, I've had enough. And wrote the tune in about 5 minutes and sent him the tune. And he goes, that's awesome. So he came in and sang it with me, and we had a great day doing that tune together. And I think it came out awesome.
Without a doubt. Now, most of the record, you mentioned, writing these songs. You wrote most of the record yourself, but one track, "Breathe," was written by Richard Gerstein, and many may know him as Richard T. Bear. He played keys on Gene Simmons and Peter Criss on their Kiss-era solo records, among many other things. And then he kind of disappeared for a long time. You actually played on his comeback record a year or so ago.
Yeah.
Did you have a relationship with Richard prior to that record? Because it was interesting to see him come back.
We have known each other for 30 years. 30 years ago, we used to do benefits for AA, and we would play together. And Richard now, for the last 6 months, has been the keyboard player in my band. And he'll be out touring with me. We just did a tour of Australia. I got back 3 days ago, and Richard was there with me. And we're going to be touring the West Coast in March, and then April and May we're going to tour Europe together, and then in the summer we're going to tour the States. And Richard will be with me for all of that. And when he played me that song, he came to my house and we were hanging out, and he played that song for me. And I said, I got to do that tune. And I changed it around a little bit, and I came up with this idea that I want to do the tune, but I want to try to make it sound like if it was the Faces doing it with Ronnie Wood and Ronnie Lane and Kenny Jones and Ian McLaughlin. Those records by the Faces. And I even told the bass player, I want you to play like Ronnie Lane, and he nailed it, And so it's a little different than Richard's version. And Richard has a new album coming out, I think in a week or two, and he does his own version of that song, but it's very different than what I did with it. And he's playing Hammond organ on there, by the way.
Yeah. I'm so glad to hear he's going to be touring with you. I can't wait to catch you guys when you come into the Northeast area up here.
Yeah, where are you?
I'm in Connecticut.
Okay, well, we're going to be in Connecticut, and I'm not sure when, but I know I have gigs booked in Connecticut coming up. But it probably won't be till the summer. Yeah.
Your records have always sort of reflected your journey as well as the whole world around us. And through all the darkness, you always look for that sliver of light. This record, though, feels a little bit less optimistic about the world at large. I mean, is that fair to say?
That's very fair to say. I've said in interviews that I've always tried to write kind of positive, upbeat songs, and kind of be an antidote to a lot of what the blues is, And but on this one, The idea for the song Broken really was about my years as a junkie and an alcoholic and not wanting to be controlled by that stuff. And I've been sober 37 years now, but it was about those days. But then when I started writing it with my wife, the lyrics, she goes, this can also be a metaphor right now for the world, with the wars and the polarization and so, I mean, she had a point there. And so, yeah, it is maybe a bit darker. That was just the kind of the mood I was in. I'm a guy who, when it's time to make a record, I will write the whole record in a week. And I'm not a guy who's out on the road writing songs. I have to focus. So normally when it's time to do a record, I go into my house, have my family go to our house in Denmark. We have a house there, and I stay in the house here, and for a week I just focus and I write, and whatever kind of mood I'm in, that seems to be the mood of the record,
Well, and it's funny because I think the sort of antidote to that on this record is the track I Want to Stay. I mean, to me, it has just such a bright 70s soul vibe to it. It seems very different from the rest of the record, but it works perfectly.
Thank you. And, I would say that is probably my favorite cut on the record. And with that's another one I wrote with my wife. And I said to her, I want to write a tune. The theme of the tune is going to be we've been together 33 years, but think back to the first time we spent the night together and we fell in love that night. And how did that feel in the morning? How did that feel? How did our lives change? And, it wasn't just a night of, a one night stand. This was, you're finding your soulmate, and I said, but I want it to be a tune that, maybe Luther Vandross or Curtis Mayfield would be able to do this tune. And that's what I was shooting for on there. So I think you actually, you grasped it there, what I was trying to do. So that I feel good that's how you hear it. And also I sang it literally in a whisper. The entire song was whispered, and my producer, who I've done 15 albums with now, I'm singing it and he goes, I'm not getting much signal. You're not singing like you do. And I say, no, dude, turn the mic up because I'm going to whisper through this entire song, and so it's got a very different kind of vocal sound also than normal for me.
Oh, I love it. It was one of those songs where as I heard it come on the record, you just kind of stop for a second, you're like, okay, that's different. And you sit and listen. It was really fun.
Oh, thanks. Thank you.
And, we talked a bit about touring and your schedule coming up. At this point, are you looking to spend most of 2024 on the road?
Yeah, it's going to be probably my hardest working year. And like I say, I'm going to be 73 here in a couple of weeks, so I hope I get through it. But it comes out March 1st. We do a couple of weeks on the West Coast. Then I'm home for 10 days. Then I go to Europe and do 6 weeks and get home from that in the middle of May. And then we spend the summer going back and forth between Europe and America. And in July, we do a couple of weeks out on the road in America. But then we go back and forth and do festivals in Europe and festivals in the States. And then at the end of August, I start another U.S. run. And that's actually that's it now, when I'll be back in New England. Because I'm going to start at the end of August, and I'm going to play at the Marshfield Fair in Massachusetts on, I think it's August 25th. And then we're going to keep doing the Northeast through September. So I'll be out there for another 4 weeks. And then in October, I go to the UK, and I do 2 or 3 weeks in the UK. and then I come home the first week in November to vote, and then after that I go back to Europe through the middle of December. So I'm barely going to be at home this year.
Yeah, it's a busy stretch for you.
Yeah. We'll see how I do, see if I survive. But I'm lucky in that I love touring.
Yes. Yeah, and like I said, I got to catch you on the last tour for Ride, and you were amazing. So definitely looking forward to catching you at least a couple of times.
What gig were you at?
I was at Stafford Springs, Connecticut.
Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Yep. Well, we've been spending some time here with Walter Trout. The record's called Broken. It's out everywhere March 1st. And Walter, it's always a pleasure talking with you. Best of luck with the record. And like I said, can't wait to see you live.
Well, thanks, Jeff. And when I'm back your way, please let's say hi and shake hands, okay?
Sounds good to me, my friend. We'll talk soon.
Thanks for having me on your show, Jeff. Take care.
Thank you. Yep.
Okay.
Bye.
Bye-bye.